We struggle and we don't look for trouble, just ask around. But when outside faces from foreign places talk about taking over, we ain't backing down. We ain't giving up no mountains, we ain't giving up no tree, we ain't giving up no river that belongs to we. Not one blue sake, not one rice grain, not one caress, not a blade of grass. This land is all I know. We gonna make it somehow. We will bend like a bow and never break. Our fathers came here and they lived and died here, and we ain't moving nowhere. Make no mistake, 'cause we ain't giving up no mountain, we ain't giving up no tree, we ain't giving up no river that belongs to we. Not one blue sake, not one rice grain, not one caress, not a blade of grass. We love the open country of the Rupununi and the Essequibo, the time on night. Though we may criticize it, this is our own, we love it, and we need to keep it. We have that right. So we ain't giving up no mountain, we ain't giving up no tree, we ain't giving up no river that belongs to we. Not one blue sake, not one rice grain, not one caress, not a blade of grass. So we ain't giving up no mountains, we ain't giving up no tree, we ain't giving up no river that belongs to we. Not one blue sake, not one rice grain, not one caress, not a blade of grass. We are a peaceful people, struggle is we struggle, and we don't look for trouble, just ask around. But when outside faces from foreign places talk about taking over, we ain't backing down. We ain't giving up no mountains, we ain't giving up no tree, we ain't giving up no river that belongs to we. Not one blue sake, not one rice grain, not one caress, not a blade of grass. This land is all I know. We gonna make it somehow. We will bend like a bow and never break. Our fathers came here and they lived and died here, and we ain't moving nowhere. Make no mistake, 'cause we ain't giving up no mountain, we ain't giving up no tree, we ain't giving up no river that belongs to we. Not one blue sake, not one rice grain, not one caress, not a blade of grass. We love the open country of the Rupununi and the Essequibo, the time on night. Though we may criticize it, this is our own, we love it, and we need to keep it. We have that right. So we ain't giving up no mountain, we ain't giving up no tree, we ain't giving up no river that belongs to we. Not one blue sake, not one rice grain, not one caress, not a blade of grass. So we ain't giving up no mountains, we ain't giving up no tree, we ain't giving up no river that belongs to we. Not one blue sake, not one rice grain, not one chorus, not a blade of grass. We are a peaceful people, struggle is with struggle, and we don't look for trouble, just ask around. But when outside faces from foreign places talk about taking over, we ain't backing down. We ain't giving up no mountains, we ain't giving up no tree, we ain't giving up no river that belongs to we. Not one blue sake, not one rice grain, not one chorus, not a blade of grass. This land is all I know, we gonna make it somehow. We will bend like a bow and never break. Our fathers came here, and they lived and died here, and we ain't moving nowhere, make no mistake. Cause we ain't giving up no mountain, we ain't giving up no tree, we ain't giving up no river that belongs to we. Not one blue sake, not one rice grain, not one chorus, not a blade of grass. We love the open country of the Rupununi and the Essequibo, bedtime on night. Though we may criticize it, this is our home, we love it, and we need to keep it. We have that right. So we ain't giving up no mountain, we ain't giving up no tree, we ain't giving up no river that belongs to we. Not one blue sake, not one rice grain, not one chorus, not a blade of grass. So we ain't giving up no mountains, we ain't giving up no tree, we ain't giving up no river that belongs to we. Not one blue sake, not one rice grain, not one chorus, not a blade of grass. We are a peaceful people, struggle is with struggle, and we don't look for trouble, just ask around. But when outside faces from foreign places talk about taking over, we ain't backing down. We ain't giving up no mountains, we ain't giving up no tree, we ain't giving up no river that belongs to we. Not one blue sake, not one rice grain, not one chorus, not a blade of grass. This land is all I know, we gonna make it somehow. We will bend like a bow and never break. Our fathers came here, and they lived and died here, and we ain't moving nowhere, make no mistake. Cause we ain't giving up no mountain. We ain't giving up no tree. We ain't giving up no river that belongs to we. Not one blue sake, not one rice grain, not one rice, not a blade of grass. We love the open country of the Rupununi and the Essequibo, bedtime on night. Though we may criticize it, this is our home, we love it, and we need to keep it. We have that right. So we ain't giving up no mountain. We ain't giving up no tree. We ain't giving up no river that belongs to we. Not one blue sake, not one rice grain, not one grass, not a blade of grass. So we ain't giving up no mountains. We ain't giving up no tree. We ain't giving up no river that belongs to we. Not one blue sake, not one rice grain, not one chorus, not a blade of grass. We are a peaceful people. Struggle is we struggle, and we don't look for trouble. Just ask around. But when outside faces from foreign places talk about taking over, we ain't backing down. We ain't giving up no mountains. We ain't giving up no tree. We ain't giving up no river that belongs to we. Not one blue sake, not one rice grain, not one chorus, not a blade of grass. This land is all I know. We gonna make it somehow. We will bend like a bow and never break. Our fathers came here and they lived and died here, and we ain't moving nowhere. Make no mistake, cause we ain't giving up no mountain. We ain't giving up no tree. We ain't giving up no river that belongs to we. Not one blue sake, not one rice grain, not one grass, not a blade of grass. We love the open country of the Rupununi and the Essequibo, bedtime on night. Though we may criticize it, this is our home, we love it, and we need to keep it. We have that right. So we ain't giving up no mountain. We ain't giving up no tree. We ain't giving up no river that belongs to we. Not one blue sake, not one rice grain, not one grass, not a blade of grass. So we ain't giving up no mountains. We ain't giving up no tree. We ain't giving up no river that belongs to we. Not one blue sake, not one rice grain, not one chorus, not a blade of grass. We are a peaceful people. Struggle is with struggle, and we don't look for trouble. Just ask around. But when outside faces from foreign places talk about taking over, we ain't backing down. We ain't giving up no mountains, we ain't giving up no tree, we ain't giving up no river that belongs to we. Not one blue sake, not one rice grain, not one caress, not a blade of grass. This land is all I know. We gonna make it somehow. We will bend like a bow and never break. Our fathers came here and they lived and died here, and we ain't moving nowhere. Make no mistake, 'cause we ain't giving up no mountain, we ain't giving up no tree, we ain't giving up no river that belongs to we. Not one blue sake, not one rice grain, not one caress, not a blade of grass. We love the open country of the Rupununi and the Essequibo, the time when I eat. Though we may criticize it, this is our home, we love it, and we need to keep it. We have that right. So we ain't giving up no mountain, we ain't giving up no tree, we ain't giving up.
Twelfth Parliament of the Cooperative Republic of Guyana to be duly constituted and in session. The clerk will lead us in prayers.
Almighty God, we who are here gathered together, do most humbly beseech thee to guide us in all our consultations, so that we may together build a land where knowledge is free, where the mind is without fear, and the head is held high, and where words come from the depth of truth. Grant us, O God, thy aid and guidance, so that we may deal justly with the several causes that come before us, laying aside all private interests, prejudices, and personal preferences, so that the result of our counsels may be to the glory of thy blessed name, the maintenance of true religion, the preservation of justice, the safety, honor, and happiness of the President, and the peace and prosperity of Guyana. Grant us, O God, the vision so to lead that all the people of this fair land may enter into that state of brotherhood and unity, where the mind is led forward by thee into ever-widening thought and action.
Thank you, Mr. Clerk. Please be seated.
Messages from the President. Announcements by the Speaker.
Honorable members, you have an envelope in front of you on behalf of the clerk, our staff, and on my own behalf. It's another little memento from the visit of His Excellency, the Prime Minister of India. Sherlock?
Presentation of petitions, presentation of papers and reports, etc.
Honorable members, I present to the Assembly the audited financial statements of the Public Procurement Commission for the years ended 31st of December 2022 and 2023.
Oral questions without notice. Questions on notice?
Honorable members, there is only one question on today's order paper, and it is for written reply. The question is in the name of the Honorable Member, Mr. Richard Sinclair, and is for the Honorable Minister of Education. The answer to this question has been received and has therefore, in accordance with our standing orders, been circulated.
Statements by ministers, including policy statements, personal explanations, requests for leave to move the adjournment of the National Assembly on definite matters of urgent public importance, motions relating to the business or sittings of the National Assembly, and moved by a minister. Introduction of bills.
Honorable Minister of Foreign Affairs.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I rise to present to the National Assembly the Postal Bill, Bill number 10 of 2024, a bill entitled "and Act to Provide for the Implementation of the Convention Abolishing the Requirement for the Legislation for Foreign Public Documents done at The Hague on the 5th day of October 1961, and for the connected matters, and I move that the bill be read for the first time.
Thank you, Minister. Honorable members, we had the Minister of Foreign Affairs and International Cooperation moving Bill number 19 of 2024. Mr. Clerk, let the bill be read a first time.
Apostle Bill 2024, Bill number 19 of 2024.
Honorable Minister of Tourism, Industry and Commerce, Honorable Onej Warren.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I present to the Assembly Security Interest in Movable Property Bill 2024, Bill number 20 of 2024, a bill entitled "An Act to Provide for the Creation and Registration of Security Interests in Movable Property and for Related Matters," and I move that the bill be read the first time.
Let the bill be read the first time.
Security Interests in Movable Property Bill 2024, Bill number 20 of 2024. Public business, government's business.
Honorable members, the Assembly will resolve itself into Committee of Supply to consider financial paper number 3 of 2024. I think we all will need a few moments just to get on the same page. Honorable Senior Minister in the Office of the President with responsibility for finance and the public service.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. In accordance with Article 171(2) of the Constitution, I signify that Cabinet has recommended for consideration by the Assembly the motion for the approval of the proposals set out in financial paper number 3 of 2024, supplementary estimate current, advances made from the contingencies fund totaling $456,851,845 for the period from 7th to 22nd November 2024, and I now move the motion.
Thank you, Honorable Minister. So let's just get a few moments so that we can have the staff defending with their minister to be in place. We will go through, as usual, line by line. Mr. Mahipal has just brought to my attention that he hasn't seen the answer to the question which I said was circulated. So we will just rectify that in the course of our examination of the financial papers before us. Okay, so we're now at financial paper number 3. I may need a hard copy. Mine came out garbled. So at item number 1, agency code 01014, Office of the President, Public Policy and Planning, subsidies and contributions to local organizations. And I propose the question, Minister Tashir, you're answering. You need to go in the well. I propose the question that the sum stated for agency code 01-014, Office of the President, Public Policy and Planning, Chart of Accounts 6321, subsidies and contributions to local organizations. And I propose the question that the sum stated herein on the current stands part of the estimates. Honorable Member, Ms. Waller Lawrence.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. To the Honorable Minister, I note that there was an increase of some $67 million from 2023 to 2024 in the voted provision for the budget. And you're coming here now asking for $26 million, indicating that it is provision of additional resources for the operations of the Guyana Office for Investment. Could the minister kindly say to the House what is urgent about this expenditure, and also what aspect of operation expenditures are we talking about?
Honorable Minister.
Thank you very much, Honorable Member. I see you're wearing some very fancy clothes these days. I've got to ask where your wardrobe's coming from. But in regards to the question, with Go Invest, first of all, you're right, there was budgetary allocation that was an increase over 2023. In regards to the 26 million and the breakdown of it, I'd like to provide that information. The energy conference was budgeted for, but there were additional costs involved, and so that is approximately 4,800,882. For the AgroFest, money was budgeted for it, but there were additional costs involved, and so the 4,646,749 is to cover the additional costs for the AgroFest. There were some contributions from some organizations of 1.8 million, but it still left a deficit of the 4.6 million. At the time of putting in the budget for 2024, Go Invest had wanted to cover the costs for the audits that were outstanding. However, they were unable to get a cost only after the budget was passed, and so they have put in 5 million to cover their audits. 2019 and 2020, thank you. And then the Caribbean Investment Forum was not budgeted for, and therefore it was an important new intervention by the Go Invest to attract more investment to Guyana, and so that this Caribbean Investment Forum, they have spent and they were used $12 million, which was not budgeted for in the 2024 budget. So that's the total should come up to $26,449,631, right?
Thank you, Minister. Honorable Member, Ms. Lawrence.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. To the Honorable Minister, you indicated that there were two programs, the Energy Conference and the AgroFest, that was under budgeted for. Could you kindly tell the House what expenses were under budgeted or not budgeted for those two activities?
Honorable Minister.
And thank you, Madam Balda. The additional money requested for the AgroFest relates to the coordinating the exhibition space in regards to the number of booths that were increased, and also the agro-tourism connect meetings. These were transportation issues as well as logistics. So these were because of certain increases that they did spend more than what was allocated. Yeah, please also remember that AgroFest we're talking about is the one held in Barbados. So that was the transportation of delegation of the various people involved. Oh, and also I'm advised that this included freight forwarding and logistics of the exhibition items. So they had to pay for freight forwarding for the items that were sent for the exhibition from Guyana.
Thank you, Minister. Honorable Member, Ms. Ferguson.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. Mr. Chair, to the Honorable Member on that very line item. I heard you, Honorable Member, stated that the AgroFest was held out of country, but there was the energy conference that was held inland. But as far as I'm aware, at that conference, you will have like businesses renting booths and having their different products on show. Can you say to the Honorable House, one, how many booths there were, and secondly, what were the costs for each booth? Thank you.
Thank you very much, Honorable Minister.
Yeah, I think we're getting some things mixed up. The AgroFest, one was in Barbados, one was here, and the Guyana Energy Conference was held here. We were not the coordinating body for the Energy Conference, but Go Invest was identified as the lead government agency for this in terms of coordinating the government involvement in it. And so these costs that are put here include, for example, the extension of the services of Go Invest to assist with the agriculture village that was located in the parking lot of the Marriott during the event, which was beyond what was originally planned for. In addition to that, the agency was asked to stay on for two subsequent events, being the CARICOM Heads of Government meeting and the IDB meetings, which were held in February as well. So these were additional requests and tasks that were given that were beyond what was planned for in the budget for 2024 in terms of Go Invest participation or involvement in the Guyana Energy Conference.
Thank you, Minister. Honorable members, I now put a question that the sum stated for agency code 01-014 chart of account 6321, that is sum stated here in current expenditure stands part of the estimates. Those in favor say aye. Those against say no. Ayes have it. The sum stated now stands part of the estimates. Let us turn to Agency Code 01-015, Office of the President, Environmental Management and Compliance, Chart of Accounts 6321, Subsidies and Contributions to Local Organizations, and I propose a question that the sum stated herein on the current expenditure stands part of the estimates. Honorable Member, Ms. Lawrence.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Could the Honorable Minister tell the House this $58 million that you're seeking for the Protected Areas Commission? Again, what aspects of operations are we talking about? Is it that we underestimated for the program set out for the year? Or are these new programs that came on stream during the year?
Honorable Minister.
Thank you, Mrs. Lawrence, Member Lawrence. These are not new aspects, but are the continuation implementation of the expansion of programs for the Protected Areas Commission, based on the new management plans that they've developed for Shell Beach and protected area in Kanaku. And they're also in the process of doing for Kaiecho and Conishan. So that it has led to new forestations, for example, that were established. They've had to now look at the deploying new monitoring groups in relation to the giant river otter, river turtle in the Rupununi. So they have hired more rangers in this year, and they've also they have 5 fully furnished research and monitoring stations, 3 outposts, and a site-level office funded through the German Development Bank, so that these must all be effectively occupied and operational. And so to maintain a complement of rangers at each site, they have had to hire more people this year in order to make sure that the areas are properly covered. And so this is part of the expansion of the National Protected Areas system, and they have doubled the protected areas by the end of this year to 17.4%. They have, just to give you an idea of the number, they have increased the number of rangers to, I think this year is 12 that they've hired additionally to be able to cover the new sites that have been completed, and they can to do their monitoring and data collection, etc.
Thank you, Minister. Honorable Member, Ms. Lawrence.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Mr. Chair, to the Honorable Minister, protecting our animals, those that you have mentioned, they have been on the endangered list for some time. It didn't just happen in a couple of months ago. It was before the 2024 budget. Building these 3 new stations would have been in the 2024 budget. So once you know that the completion date is going to be in 2024, one would expect that when you budget, you will also budget to fill the vacancies for those persons who would need to manage those stations. Why is it coming here now, coming out of the contingency fund in a supplemental and not catered for in the 2024 budget?
Honorable Minister.
I think the honourable members may be familiar with that there are a number of local and international partners and stakeholders involved with the Protected Areas Commission, and in which Guyana's role in particular is monitoring activities, environmental pressures, and threats. And so whilst it may be so you didn't calculate that you needed 12 more rangers, at the same time, as the work progresses, you don't want to hold it up because you haven't budgeted for it, and it's not impossible to request a supplementary to allow you to do what is required under the Protected Areas Commission Act. And so technical teams from the Protected Areas Commission, rangers, have been involved in activities such as camera trapping, fish surveys, water sampling, patrols, and bird surveys. These are all part of the monitoring of the Protected Areas Commission. I think sometimes when we think of protected areas, we think of just areas that we lock off and say, nothing goes on there, that these are what are declared. But a very important component of the protected areas is to be able to monitor, to go in and to make sure that there's no illegal activity in them, because there are people who try to do that from time to time, as well as monitoring the actual wildlife there and to see that they're not under threat, etc. And also to create a database that we have so we know exactly what we have in the protected areas. The furnished research and monitoring stations I referred to, and the 3 outposts and site level office are all finished, and therefore it was important to start occupying them and to have the rangers, not only the offices occupied, which I referred to, but to have the rangers going in more often. For example, in Kayachor, it used to be 18 weeks in and 2 weeks out. Now it's 6 weeks in and 2 weeks out. So they're going in more frequently into Kayachor, and therefore the costs are higher. So it's not just the rangers, but also the cost of transportation, logistics, and so on. Shell Beach was 24 weeks in and 8 weeks out, particularly focused on the period when the turtles are nesting on the beach. Now it is 3 weeks in and 1 week out at the research and monitoring stations. And so I think this shows a much more proactive Protected Areas Commission, and therefore it is not something that we shouldn't support, because it's very important in terms of reporting to be able to say what is going on in the protected areas. Are we able to ensure that the wildlife there, the flora, fauna are all in healthy state? Kanaku, for example, is 3 weeks in and 1 week out. And so these more frequent visits, more frequent monitoring is very important, and therefore that contributed to the costs going up as well, not only the number of rangers, but also the number of visits, monitoring, data collection, etc. The rangers that have been hired in 2024 and of course in 2025, they are intending to hire more.
Thank you, Minister. Honorable Member, Ms. Lawrence.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Honorable Minister, could you kindly tell us how much of the $58 million will go towards these 12 rangers, and it is for what period?
And what? Sorry, I didn't hear the last part.
The period of payment. Would it be from September to December or October to December, 1st to 31st of December?
Okay, thank you very much. I'm taking advice from the experts from the PAC, Mr. Duncan. Please take it easy, Mr. Duncan. It's too early in the day to get revved up. I don't want your pressure to go up, sir. Don't want your pressure to go up. So I'm advised by the experts. I know nothing about some of these things, I confess. So in response to Mrs. Lawrence, the period that you're asking about is September to December. And the percentage in regards to the cost of the rangers, etc., is 75% of the 58 million.
Thank you, Minister. Honorable members, I now put a question that the sum stated for Agency Code 01-015, Chart of Accounts 6321, current expenditure stands part of the estimates. Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those against say no. Ayes have it. The sum stated now stands part of the estimates. Thank you, Minister and the staff. Our attention to item number 2, Agency Code 40-4004, Ministry of Education Primary, Chart of Account 6281, Security Services, and I propose a question that the sum stated herein on the current expenditure stands part of the estimates. Honorable members, I know. Honorable member, Ms. Lawrence.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Mr. Chair, to the Honorable Minister. Could the Minister state what is the increase? Oh, sorry.
Let's give the Honorable Minister's staff, and I think we have to go through primary, secondary, and tertiary.
Mr. Chair, are you saying you're going to put the three?
No,
Because
no,
that
no.
would
We're
be very
taking the
good.
first one, but I'm just trying to get
Okay.
all the staff together.
You're going to put all three?
We can put all three,
Yes,
yes.
please. So then
I
we
now
ask the one.
propose the question that the sum stated herein for Agency Code 40404, 405, 406, Chart of Account 6281 for primary education, secondary education, and post-secondary tertiary education, current expenditure stands part of the estimates. We're taking three items. Go ahead, Honorable Member, Ms. Lawrence.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Mr. Chair, to the Minister, could the Minister kindly indicate what period this increase is for? What percentage of increase? Is it an increase on the hourly rate? Is it an increase in the number of security guards at these institutions? And whether this will provide 24 hours service to the schools?
So thank you very much for the question. And at some institutions, it is an increase in the number of guards at the schools. It does cater for 24-hour security. And it also caters for the increase in rates. For the fourth question I think you had was what period? 2024.
Thank you, Minister. Honorable Member, Ms. Lawrence.
Minister, are you indicating that this increases for the entire year 2024?
This is a projection. Right, but when is it? It's for a projection of what will be owed for the rest of the year.
It's coming from the contingency fund, Minister. They have to properly advise you.
Honorable Minister.
It hasn't been spent as yet.
Honorable Member, Ms. Lawrence.
Mr. Chair, I'm asking whether the minister can lay over the answer to my questions. The question is, does these provisions provide for an increase in the number of guards, security guards? And if so, how many? Can the minister state whether these security guards are there for 24 hours period or 12 hours period? Can the minister also indicate for what period these monies in a total of $119.283 million will be spent for? What period? All right.
So the questions have
All right,
been
Minister, go ahead.
asked and answered, but I'd be happy to answer again. This caters for more security guards. It caters for an increase in rates. Well, the how many, we're dealing with 3 programs here. So you have about 33 primary schools, you have about 33 secondary schools, and then another set of post-secondary schools. So if you want us to go through program by program, Mr.
I
Chair.
would, because she's asked that you lay over them. We're here. Let's get the totals for each. Mahipal.
So I'm being advised that to be able to get the number of an increase of guards, they would have to calculate that, so we'd be happy to lay it over.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Honorable Member, Ms.
So can
Lawrence.
we have the answers to the other parts of the question laid over too? Okay, because
Yes.
that will go in terms of the number of guards.
Sure.
Thank you. Mr. Chair, one other question to the minister. These increase in the numbers of guards, is it with a new guard service? Are there new contracts? Or these are continuation of the same contracts that we have in an addendum?
So when we prepared the budget at the ministry, and I say we loosely, that's technicians do that. When we prepared the budget and submitted it, in January we signed contracts, and the rates in January were different from the rates offered. Now, all of it, when we went to the budget, all of the security contracts, save one, which is for the exams division, have been publicly tendered and publicly awarded through the National Procurement and Tender Administration Board in accordance with the Procurement Act. So we didn't have contracts prior to. There's no renewal of a contract. It's based on the contract signed in January for the same schools. What? With new rates. That's the issue.
Thank you, Minister. Honorable members, Honorable Member Mr. Mahipal.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman, so in total, for the Ministry of Education, the total sum for security services under all the programs accumulate to $1,142,290,000 in 2024 budget. On the website of NPTAB, there were contracts awarded, and the sum total of those contracts awarded are in total of $946,893,485. Sir, the amount that was budgeted in 2024 versus the amount that was towards the contracts awarded to Atlas Security Service Inc., Home Safe Security, Hussein's Security, RK Security, and Queensway, there is a positive difference of $195,396,515. So may I ask the minister, why is there need, given that that sum in total is spread across the programs, why is there a need for an additional $119 million, given that you have that excess when you could have facilitated environments to meet the cost?
Honorable Minister.
No, but it's a good question, and I'm being advised that it's still, the answer remains that the increase in rates and increase in guard service, number of guards would cater or account for the increase that is needed. And that is assuming two things. One, that you have correctly interpreted what is on that website and that you have counted all, and two, that the website actually has all the accurate information. I can't speak to that. The Minister of Finance would have to speak to that.
So, Comrade
Honorable
Chairman,
Member Mr.
thank you.
Mahipon.
Sir, so a contract was signed between the Ministry of Education and Atlas Security Service, Inc. for $275 million. Another one was signed with Home Safe Security for $250 million. Another one was signed with Hussein Security for $223 million. One was signed with RK Security for $69 million. And one was signed with Queensway for $131 million for the period. And for that entire period, the contract sum is $946.893 million. So what is the reason, may I ask the Honorable Minister, for you to request $119.283 million when in your budget you have an aggregate total of $1.142 billion? Sir, may I further ask the Minister, if you are going to request this sum of money, in fact, you have already requested it and spent it, because the paper that is guiding us says that this covers a period 2024, November 7th to 2024, November 22nd. And we are on the 27th of November, so this money don't spend out. So you have spent it out, but you will be returning, based on the figures we have here, you will be returning money to the consult fund on the security charges. So why did you not facilitate the virement of money from one program to the next within your ministry, which is permitted by the FMAA?
Honorable Minister.
So, again, Mr. Speaker, the increase in rates are not reflected in the sum signed. I am told that the country, you said it's already spent, I'd say committed, because we have guards at schools from the 7th of November to now. When the security companies requested payment, they added in, as far as I'm told, charges for VAT that weren't catered in their contracts. So you have an increase, essentially an increase in the amount that has to be paid by the ministry to the security card, to be company, to be remitted to the government. So perhaps that's something we have to look at. Do we want government agencies to be paying VAT? But as it stands now, that is what it is, as far as my advice goes.
Honorable Member Mr. Mahipon.
Thank you, Comrade Chairman. So, Comrade Chairman, based on the answers provided by the Honorable Minister, clearly the contracts that are reflected on NPTAB website with that figure is not accurate, because Minister is indicating that there are some changes that have caused them to now request $119+ million. May I ask the Honorable Minister, what are the accurate sums associated with each company that the government is in contract with these respective companies? And if they, may I ask also, sir, that there is a company that is in the public space, Centaur Investment Inc., where the allegation is that the minister has some ties to the contract, to the company. May I ask the Honorable Minister if indeed this company is in receipt of a contract from her ministry, and if so, what is the sum? And could she say the respective companies in the ministry that is in contract with the ministry, what are their sums and the names of the company? Thank you, sir.
Honorable Minister. Don't lie, you know.
I have a rule, sir, that you deal with the message and not the messenger. I'm sorely tempted here to break my own rule, but I won't.
Yeah, don't
The
do.
honorable member stood up in this house and said he read from a website that he is relying on the various names of contracted security companies from the Ministry of Education. And he asks us to treat that as truth. He did not call Contour, or what is it, Centaur. He did not call that name. Yet he stands here to ask me something he already knows. So I will answer you. One, and I think it's important, sir, for us to examine this properly. Bringing into this house the cocoa top gaff that is now allowed on social media because of freedoms might be something we want to guard against. But I will answer very clearly. After I saw that myself, I inquired as to the ownership of Centaur or Contour, and it is owned by a young Guyanese of African descent named Kwesi Monroe. We are very happy. We are very happy in the People's Progressive Party civic government to offer opportunities for growth and thriving to young Guyanese of all ethnicities, and particularly of African descent. I have no ties. I have no ties to any security company anywhere in this country. None. Neither me, nor my husband, my brother, my sister, my parents are dead. None. Absolutely none. The other question that you asked is whether or not the Ministry of Education has awarded any contracts through, of course, the NPTAB to that company. And I'm happy to tell you, although I would have no problems awarding any contract to anybody who has bid and won the bid, that this company has never been given any contract from the Ministry of Education while I was the Minister of Education. Do you have any other questions?
Honorable Member, Mr. Mahipal, do you have any other questions?
Sir, the fundamental question was not answered, which is there are clearly changes to the figure that is on NPTAB website, as you indicated, that now caters for VAT and the likes. So the figures that are on NPTAB, which accumulates to 900 plus million, has changed. And now your 1.142 billion is no longer sufficient. That's why you need an additional 119 plus million. So I'm asking you to provide this house with the figures that have changed. So no longer Atlas Security is 275 million as reflected on NPTAB. It's a new number. What is that number? No longer Home Safe is 250 million. It's a new figure. What is the new figure? Hussein Security, no longer 223 million. What is the new figure? RK Security, no longer 69 million. What is the new figure? Queensway Security, no longer 131 million. What is the new figure? And I just wanted to know if you had any ties, because that information
So
is in the
now that
public
you know I do
space.
not, do you have anything to say? Being an honorable member and all.
I was merely asking, Mr. Speaker. I saw something in the public space.
I see a lot of things in I see a public space. You want to... This is an honorable house, young Mahipal, honorable member. You don't bring the street corner gaff in here.
Honorable Minister, please. You can take that line of answering outside of the house. So right now, right,
Mr. Speaker,
Honorable Minister, I'm on my feet.
the honorable member should retract his
Honorable,
earlier statement before we go forward.
Honorable Minister
He
Teixeira,
should
I'm on my
retract it, sir,
Honorable
before
Minister
he's allowed to
Teixeira,
ask any other
I am
question.
on my feet. Honorable members, I'm not going to tolerate any breakdown in this aspect of our session this afternoon. And we have seen absolute disregard by two honorable members in this House. When a speaker stands on his feet, everyone sit and shut up. And I think I have the privilege and luxury of using that word. Honorable members, I now put the question.
Sir, there's a question on the
I
floor.
now put the question because
question on the floor,
the Honorable
sir.
Member, Mr. Mahipal, is clearly on a different path than what we are here for. I
And
now
on-
put the question that the sums stated for Agency Code 404, Chart of Accounts 6281, 405, Chart of Accounts 6281, Chart of Account 406, Agency Code 406, Chart of Account 6281, that the sum stated on these line items' current expenditure stand part of the estimates. Those in favor say aye. Those against say no. Ayes have it. The sum stated now stands part of the question. Thank you very much, Honorable Minister, and your staff for taking us through this item. Honorable Minister of Local Government and Regional Development. The next items are for Regions 1 and 6. Honorable members, I now propose the question that the sum stated for Agency Code 71-713, Chart of Accounts 6281, Security Services, current expenditure, stands part of the estimates. I put in them one at a time. I know the Honorable Member, Ms. Lawrence, was well-intentioned. Honorable Member, Region 1. The Minister can answer off the top of her head, I'm confident. Honorable Member, Mr. Cox.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Mr. Chairman, good afternoon. Could the Honorable Minister provide additional information with respect to number of schools in Region 1 and other educational buildings which will benefit from this increased sum? And could she also give a breakdown with respect to those buildings in the Maruka and Matakai subregions? The third question is, could the Honorable Minister also provide information with respect to the names of these companies and whether these buildings will benefit from 24 hours security And if there are increased security at the schools especially, because I do know that some schools have just one security, even though there are very large buildings and several buildings in one compound. Thank you.
Honourable Minister.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. Thank you very much, Honorable Member, for the question. Yes, there has been an increase, and we have the breakdown. You have the Learning Resource Center, Mabaruma, Northwest Secondary, Dormitory, Port Kaituma Teachers Quarters, Port Kaituma Secondary, Santa Rosa Secondary, Bunbury Nursery School, Hosororo Nursery School, Mabaruma Nursery School, Sheba Nursery School, Whitewater Nursery School, Quibana Nursery School, Santa Rosa Nursery School, Himacabra Nursery School, Himacabra Nursery School, Port Kaituma Nursery School, Pakira Nursery, Canal Bank Nursery, 4 Miles Nursery, Mabaruma Primary, Hosororo Primary, Wauna Primary, Tobago Primary, Whitewater Primary, Peter and Paul Primary, Hobodea Primary, Unity Square Primary, St. Cyprian's Primary, Cobarima Primary, St. John's Primary, Hotokwai Primary, Kakai Kamo Primary, St. Dominic's Primary, Paiwakoro Primary, St. Anselm Primary, St. Anthony's Primary, St. Margaret's Primary, St. Ninia's Primary, Sacred Heart Primary, Blackwater Savannah Primary, Blackwater Barima Primary, Baracina Primary, St. Mary Primary, Barbina Primary, Port Kaituma Primary, Matthews Ridge Primary, Baramita Primary, Canal Bank Primary, Falls Top Primary, Lower Kaituma Primary, Santa Rosa Primary, Waramuri Primary, St. Nicholas Primary, Quibana Primary, Northwest Secondary School, Port Kaituma Secondary School, Baramita Secondary Department, Santa Rosa Secondary School. I don't think in the history of Guyana we've ever heard of so many schools, Mr. Speaker. We haven't heard of so many schools in the history of this country. And so we have Strategic Action Security Services as the company that has the security services for these.
Thank you, Minister. Honourable
So
Member,
this
Mr.
government
Cox.
has done quite well, Mr. Speaker, in terms of providing primary education, secondary education, nursery education, and the infrastructure to go with that.
Thank you, Minister. Mr. Cox.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Mr. Chair, I didn't get to hear the last answer to the last question, but could the Honourable Minister repeat the name of the security company and state whether it is the same company that is managing or providing services to the other programs or all 4 programs in the region? Thank you.
So I understand my friend's inability to listen to the which security company after hearing all of those schools being called out. But it is Strategic Action Security Services, and yes, for all the programs.
Thank you, Minister. Honourable Member, Mr. Cox.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Mr. Chair, I did also ask earlier whether the schools will be benefiting from increased personnel, 24-hour security services at all these schools.
Yes, Honorable Member, it's increased personnel as well as 24 hours.
Thank you, Minister.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
And I'd like to, Mr. Speaker, just for the, because they like to ask questions so that the public can hear. From 22 facilities to 57 facilities, personnel was added on 24-hour service.
Thank you, Minister. Honourable Member, Mr. Mahio.
Thank you, Comrade Chairman. Comrade Chairman, you are well aware, I'm sure, that 24-hour security service started in 2017. Sir, may I ask what is the sum total in terms of the contractual agreement between the Ministry of Local Government and Regional Development, Barima-Waini region, and the company Strategic Action Security, sir, for this year? The contractual sum that was signed.
Honourable Minister.
546 million, sir, and each facility is different rates as well as on weekdays and holidays.
Thank you, Minister. Honorable Member, Mr. Mahipal.
Thank you, sir. $546 million. Sir, the one security company is managing the entire region in terms of 4 programs as identified by the Honorable Minister. Sir, the sum total of security services charges for all 4 programs is $377,988,000 from budget 2024. The requested sum that the ministry is seeking here under Barima Winey is $111,333,744. That gives you a total of $489,321,744. How does the minister intend to facilitate the shortfall, given that the total security service charge now, once this is passed, becomes $489 million, when the contract that was signed is for $546 million?
Honorable Minister, is there a discrepancy in how you're managing?
We also have a supplementary for health, please, sir. So you will get that under that.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Honorable members, I now put a question that the sum stated for agency code 71713, Charter of Account 6281, Security Services, current expenditure stands part of the estimates. Those in favor say aye. Those against say no. Ayes have it. The sum stated now stands part of the estimates. Honorable members, let us turn to agency code 71-714, Chart of Accounts 6281, Security Services, and I propose the question that the sum stated for this line item on the current expenditure stands part of the estimates. Honorable Member, Ms. Cummings.
Thank you,
Thank
Mr.
you very
Chair.
much, Mr. Chair. Project code, as you rightly said, 71714, Region 1, Barima Winey Health Services, Charge of Account 6281. Mr. Chair, under the remarks column, there's provision of additional resources to cater for increased security charges. Now, the budgeted voted provision was 42 million. And so the minister is coming now to ask for an additional $8.2 million. Wasn't oversight and what not catered for, that you have to dip into the contingency fund for this 8.2 million. And we're looking at extra additional charges is what? Increase in rates, increase in the number of security personnel. Where will these personnel be located? If you can start off with that. I have additional questions.
Honorable Minister.
Thank you, Honorable Member. We have three new additional sites, and so the personnel has increased for those sites.
Okay. So we're talking about 12 hours, 24 hour services?
24 hours.
Okay, so could you name the security form?
Strategic action. I said that they're for all programs.
For all programs in Region 1?
For this region. Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay, so was the publicly tendered, the new contract, what?
Yes, it was open tender. Public tender, open tender through the National Tender Board.
Thank you, Minister.
What's the rate for these personnel, security personnel? What's the rate? And what's the new rate? You said it's increased in number and not in rate.
Honorable Member Dr. Cummings, if we're going to sit and cross-talk, then we'll break down again.
Yes,
so
Mr.
please,
Chair. Yes, I'm
with
asking
respect to
if,
the chair, stand, ask your question to me, and I'll put it to her.
yes, to the chair. I'm asking if there's an, just to repeat, if there's an increase in the number or increase in the rates. If it's an increase in the rates, I just want to know if what's increased from to.
Honorable Minister.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. It was 275 before, and it has been increased to 480.
Thank you, Minister.
Mondays to Fridays. And then you have a different rate for Saturday, you have a different rate for Sundays and holidays.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Honorable Member, Mr. Mahipal.
Thank you, sir. Sir, in the question before with the program that you put, and now you're putting this one, the minister indicated that there is a supplemental that is coming for health on the supplementary. Sir, on the supplementary, that health caters for an additional $1 million for other transport, travel, and postage. And we're talking here about security services, sir, and the difference in terms of the aggregate total and what was the contractual sum is $57 million. So how does the minister intend to capture that gap of $57 million, sir? It definitely can't be from this $1 million.
I don't know if there's a gap, but Minister, you may attempt to answer this new line of questioning, summing up across different lines.
It's a new line of question, but it's also a very convoluted question. But here is what. The question that you're asking is not $1 million. What we have here is $8.2 million. $8.2 million.
Thank you very
So
much.
I think your figure is wrong.
Thank you very much, Minister. Honorable Member, Mr. Cox, be careful of convolution.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Mr. Chair, one final question. So the Honorable Minister did mention there are 3 additional institutions within the region under this. So does this cater for like the health centers across the riverine communities, security for them as well? Because earlier you mentioned on the schools, those included all those in the riverine communities. So we have health centers across riverine communities as well that may require security services too. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Honorable
And
Minister.
I'm very proud to say that we have built 3 new facilities in which we can add these security personnel to, because not only are you getting healthcare now in different areas, but you're also providing employment for the securities and persons around the community. In addition, to direct my answer now to the question, no, not in all the riverine areas, but some of them, and we do utilize the CSOs and the part-time.
Thank you, Minister. Honorable Member, Ms. Ferguson.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. Mr. Chair, just a follow-up to my colleague's question to the honorable member with regards to the security services. She made mention, sir, that this is a new, the contract went out for tender, for public tender, open tender, right? Okay. Can you say to the National Assembly which security firm provided services prior to the tender, before the tender went out?
It was the same security firm. But, Mr. Speaker, we are dealing with here right now with this particular security
Thank you very
firm
much,
and
Minister.
through an open public tender process.
Thank you very much, Minister. Honorable Member, Ms. Ferguson.
No, Mr. Chair, the question is not on whether it is a public tender, because this is monies that you took out from the contingency fund. So I'm asking the honorable member, which security service provided security service to the various buildings between January to October of 2024?
And the Minister did answer. She's answering for this item here now. But, Minister, if you want to take another.
Mr. Speaker, I answered this question already, and I said that it is relevant.
Thank you very much. Honorable members, I now put a question that the sum stated for Agency Code 71-714, Chart of Account 6281, Security Services, current expenditure. And I put the question that the sum stated herein now stands part of the estimates. Those in favor say aye. Those against say no. Ayes have it. The sum stated now stands part of the estimates. Let us turn to 76-761, Agency Code, Chart of Account 6281, Security Current Expenditure. And I propose the question that the sum stated herein stands part of the estimates. Honorable Member.
Thank you very much.
Cameron,
I would like to deal with both of them. Could I ask the question, Mr.
Go ahead, Cameron.
Yes.
Honorable Member.
This is 141 million almost that was taken out of the treasury and paid to somebody for increased security services. Could we ask the question, to whom was the 141 million paid to?
Honorable Member Mr. Ramjatan, we're dealing with not the total, we're dealing with a particular line item which on my paper covers 2 point something million dollars. Yes.
Security guards were increased, please, sir, by 3, and also it is Queensway.
Thank you, Minister. Honorable Member? Honorable Members, I now put a question that the sum stated for Agency Code 76-761, Chart of Account 6281, Security Services, current expenditure stands part of the estimates. Those in favor say aye. Those against say no. Ayes have it, the sum stated now stands part of the estimates. Let us move to Agency Code 76-764, Chart of Account 6281, Security Services, current expenditure. And I propose a question that the sum stated herein
I have here,
stands part of the
in
estimates.
relation to the
The Honorable
130.
Member, Mr. Kemraj Ramjatan.
Yes. Could the identical question be posed in relation to this sum?
Identical
And
answer?
the name of the company.
Honorable Minister.
Right, so, Mr. Speaker, there are 79 personnel added to 17 schools in Region 6, and it's also Queensway.
And what's the name of the company? Queensway.
Honorable Member, Mr. Ramsden.
That's all right.
Honorable Members, I now put a
Mr.
question
Chairman.
that the Honorable Member,
Thank-
Mr. Mahipur.
Thank you, sir. Sir, may I ask what is the contract sum with Queensway for Region 6 that requires this additional sum of $139.441 million? The contract sum, please, with the region, the total sum.
Honorable Minister.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. 1.757 billion.
Thank you very much, Minister. Honorable Members, I now put a question
Yeah, because it's
that
all
the
the
sum
programs.
stated for
So this total
Agency
will give
Code
them
76-764, Chart of
That's-
Account
that's a better
6281, Security Services, current expenditure stands part of the estimates. Those in favor say aye. Those against say no. Ayes have it. The sum stated now stands part of the estimates. Honorable members, this completes our consideration for all of the items in financial paper number 3 of 2024. Advances made from the contingency fund totaling $456,851,845 for the period November 11, 2024 to 22nd November 2024. And I now propose a question that this sum stands part of the estimates. Those in favor say aye. Those against say no. Ayes have it. The motion is carried. Let the assembly resume. Thank you very much, Honorable Minister and your staff. Honorable Senior Minister in the Office of the President with responsibility for finance and the public service.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Mr. Speaker, I wish to report that the Committee of Supply has approved of the proposals set out in financial paper number 3 of 2024, and I now move that the Assembly doth agree with the committee in the said resolution. Thank you very much.
The question is that the Assembly doth agree with the committee in the said resolution. Those in favor say aye. Those against say no. Ayes have it. Motion is carried. This completes our consideration of financial paper number 3 of 2024. We now turn our attention to financial paper number 4. Honourable members, we resolve ourselves into committee to consider financial paper number 4. Honourable Senior Minister in the Office of the President with responsibility for finance and the public service.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. In accordance with Article 171(2) of the Constitution, I signify that Cabinet has recommended for consideration by the Assembly the motion for the approval of the proposals set out in financial paper number 4 of 2024, supplementary estimates current and capital totaling $84,074,229,401 for the period ended 31st December 2024, and I now move the motion. Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Honourable Minister. Honourable members, let us now look at Agency Code 02-022, Office of the Prime Minister, Disaster Preparedness, Response and Management. Let us invite the Honourable Prime Minister and his staff to join us as we consider the line items under this agency code. Honourable members, we are at Agency Code 02-022, OPM, Disaster Preparedness, Response and Management, Chart of Account 6243, Janitorial and Cleaning Supplies, and I propose the question that the sum stated herein stands part of the estimates. Honourable members, I now put a question that the sum stated for Chart of Accounts 6243 under this agency code. Current expenditure stands part of the estimates. Those in favor say aye. Sorry, Honourable Member Ms. Lawrence, you wanted to raise something about cleaning?
Yes, Mr. Chair.
Go ahead.
I note here that the Prime Minister is asking us to provide him with some 48+% increase in the amount voted for the budget. This is janitorial and cleaning supplies. So I would like to know whether the Prime Minister has extended his office. Is he having another building? What is happening? Because we haven't had a lot of rain. And being a housewife these days, sir, I don't know how much more cleaning supplies he's using if he's still contained in the same space. So that would be my first question.
The first question, Honourable Prime Minister.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman, this has nothing to do with the office of the Prime Minister where he operates from. This has to do with the packaging of hygiene hampers to give out to people who are affected by disasters throughout the country. But of course, it covers, please let me educate you, ma'am. Mr. Speaker, Let me educate the House. We're
Thank you.
asking for the money under program 022, Disaster Preparedness, Response and Management. Throughout the country, people are affected by flooding and other forms of disaster. They're given food hampers and they're given hygiene hampers because they have to clean up the place. All we're asking for is the additional money to cover the cleaning agents that are supplied to the people who are affected by.
Thank you, Honorable Prime Minister.
And where? And we have here a Bari, right?
Honorable Member, Ms. Lawrence.
Mr. Chair, thank you. Mr. Prime Minister, could you kindly tell me how many packages you're catering for here? And why was it not foreseen? Listen to me. No, you don't foresee disaster. Why was it not foreseen? Because this is not the first time you're coming back here asking for monies for these things. Or could you say whether you're asking for this money as a result of the increase in prices of commodities that the Guyanese people face, and unlike the government side, they don't face increase in prices?
Honorable Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, yes, I agree with the honorable member. Mr. Speaker, may I?
Honorable Prime Minister, go ahead.
Yes, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, yes, I agree with the honorable member. We did, based on our projection, ask for a sum of money. However, the year 2024, we've had more interventions than in the previous year, and the interventions demanded that we utilize what was asked for. All we're doing now, this is the month of November, and you know the rainy season, November into January, February. We're just asking for this additional amount of money to replenish and prepare to continue helping people who are likely to be affected.
So, Mr. Chair, to the Prime
Go ahead,
Minister,
Honorable
I'm glad that we're hearing that there is an office that is preparing, budgeting, and don't spend the money and then come here and ask us to pass it. So we thank you for respecting this House. But, Mr. Prime Minister, could you kindly tell me out of this $9 million, how many packages you're going to get? And what would be the cost of one package?
Honorable Prime Minister.
Sorry about that, Mr. Speaker and honorable member. We just have to get the figures right. We're preparing 170 hygiene packages for the hinterland, 170, and 600 to deal with interventions along the coastline. I'm advised that each package will cost some $10,000.
Thank you very much, Honorable Prime Minister. Honorable Member, Ms. Lawrence.
Thank you. Mr. Chair, I'm happy to hear about hygiene packages. Could the Prime Minister, however, indicate to us of the $21 million that you spent? Could you disaggregate it and get some for your mouth? I'll get some for your mouth, Honorable McCoy. I'll get some hygiene for your mouth. Your mouth.
Honorable Member Ms. Lawrence, please.
Yes, but Mr. Speaker, I'm very respectful to you in this House. But Mr. McCoy is allowed to abuse women in this Parliament, and nothing is said to him. And I will not allow him to do that to me. I will not allow that to happen to me.
Honorable
Mr.
Member,
Speaker,
you have a
so
question
please
to the
give
Prime
me
Minister. If
cover.
not, I'll put.
Yes.
I'll
yes.
put.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you. Answer the questions, man. You are not a minister. Relax yourself. You don't got no budget.
Honorable Prime Minister, the question lost me. Honorable members, I now put the question that the sum stated.
The Prime Minister's answering. Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, if I'm to understand, honorable member, you're asking for disaggregation of the 21 million, 2.886,000, procurement of cleaning items for office and facilities used to ensure a clean and tidy working environment, and 18,450,000 procurement of 2,000 relief cleaning hampers for countrywide distribution. And we would have had 500 for Region 4, 600 Region 5, 200 Region 6, 300 Region 10, 400 Region 9. And I did answer before I give you some figures in terms of what we're putting together based on what we're asking for today.
So Mr. Chair, just to conclude.
Honorable Member, please. You know, especially Honorable Member Ms. Lawrence and many of us who've been here a little while. You're asking the Prime Minister to deal with an item we considered during the budget estimates. We're now dealing with this supplementary, which is 9 million. That's why I totally ignore what you said. I was more concentrated on the aside you had with respect to washing somebody's mouth. So, the Prime Minister, if I were sitting where you are, I would have said during the budget debate, this is what you said. And this is a departure for this additional. I'm not going to tolerate items that we had considered and voted on during the estimates for this budget 2024, right? So you will agree with me that
No, I will
question, you wouldn't?
No, Mr. Chair, because the budget is an estimate. And that is a lump sum money. And you heard the Prime Minister.
Okay, honorable members, my ruling is
he
that
said he used some,
my
Mr. Chair,
ruling
for
is,
office cleaning and some for packaging.
my ruling is I am not going to consider such items on the budget 2024, which was considered and passed here. If you frame it in a way that deals with the contingency before us, then.
Mr. Speaker, in the interest of clarity and moving forward, I would like to volunteer a clearer answer for the honorable member. We are asking for 9.277,100 as the supplementary. The breakdown, 638,460 to cover expenditure for the Abari flood in November 2024, 1,700,000 for the procurement of janitorial hampers for the secondary rainy season, December, January, for the hinterland regions, 1, 7, 8, and 9, and 6,938,640 for the procurement of janitorial hampers for the secondary rainy season, again, December to January 2024, for the coastal regions, regions 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 10. Which is not entirely coastal, but answer the answer.
Thank you, Mr. Prime Minister.
Thank you, Honorable Prime Minister. Honorable members, I now put a question that is some stated for agency code 02-022 Chart of account 6243, janitorial and cleaning supplies. Current expenditure stands part of the estimates. Those in favor say aye. Those against say no. Ayes have it. Sum stated now stands part of the estimates. Chart of account under the same agency 6261, local travel and subsistence. And I propose the question that the sum stated herein on the current expenditure stands part of the estimates. The Honorable Member, Dr. Cummings.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Mr. Chair, the voted provision, well, there wasn't any voted provisions, but I want to ask the Minister, when during the debate, I had asked about regional plans as well as the national plans. So this $2,600,000, is it to cater for the local travel around the regions, or is it from the national level going into the regions? Personnel.
Honorable Minister.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. To answer the honorable member, $2,600,000 asked for quarterly earthquake monitoring in Region 9. In December, $600,000, part of our early warning system monitoring of water sanitation and hygiene program in Region 1, $400,000. Region 7, $500,000. Region 8, $500,000. And $600,000 for routine operations in November and December.
Thank you, Honorable Prime Minister.
Yes, a follow-up question.
Member,
So the capacity is not being built in the region as such. This is coming from the meteorological department, or that's what I just want to know, because we want to build. I mean, it should be 10 democratic regions, 10 developmental regions, and we want to improve to narrow the gaps between the coastal and the hinterland. So how going forward?
Honorable Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, again, thanks to the honorable member. What has started, the end result will be capacity not only being built at the central level, but at the regional level. Because as we monitor, we also have people on the ground who receive training, to submit reports to the central location. So yes, to answer your question, the expertise may lie now at the central level, but the capacity is being built at the regional level as we continue this process.
Thank you, Prime Minister. Honorable members, I now put a question that the sum stated for Chart of Account 6261, local travel and subsistence, current expenditure stands part of the estimates. Those in favor say aye. Those against say no. Ayes have it. The sum stated now stands part of the estimates. Chart of Account 6265, other transport, travel, and postage. And I propose a question that the sum stated herein, current expenditure, stands part of the estimates. The Honorable Member, Ms. Lawrence.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. To the Honorable Prime Minister, I know that you're asking for some 50+% increase on your budgeted allocation. Could you kindly say if this is due to the increase in costs, or this is due to the expanded programs that you're doing?
Honorable Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, again, I thank the honorable member for the question. It is due to both an increase in costs and the expansion that you outlined in your question. Perhaps if you want me to, I can disaggregate how we're going to spend the money, if that will be helpful.
May I, Mr. Chair, respond?
Honorable
If you can do it in response to the programs that you said you were going to do. You highlighted 7 or 8 programs just now. Do you have it coordinated like that?
You mean in relation to this? Yes, we do.
Okay, thanks.
Honorable Prime Minister.
Transporting hampers to regions 1, 7, 8, and 9, 5 million. Aircraft charter to Mabaruma to monitor migrant population, 800,000. Aircraft charter to Madhya to monitor Southcom project, 940,000. Aircraft charter to Lethem to monitor floods, $1.2 million. Hire pickups for earthquake monitoring in December, 900,000.
Thank you, Prime Minister. Honorable members, I now put a question that the sum stated for chart of account 6265, other transport, travel, and postage, current expenditure stands part of the estimates. Those in favor say aye. Those against say no. Ayes have it. Sum stated now stands part of the estimates. Chart of account 6292, dietary. And I propose the question that the sum stated on this line item, current expenditure, stands part of the estimates. Honorable Member Ms. Ferguson.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. Mr. Chair, to the Honorable Prime Minister. I note in the remarks legend, it has here provisions of additional resources provision of additional resources to facilitate an expanded work program. So can the Honorable Prime Minister explain to the House what would have caused the increase and who are the beneficiaries to benefit from this dietary amount of some 79 million you intend to spend before or by December 31st, 2024?
Honorable Prime Minister.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And with respect to the honorable member's question, I think the important word is intent, right? So this is a projection. We come to the House asking for supplementary provision. So with regards to the $79 million, we're asking for it to purchase 3,950 food hampers for the rainy season. We likely to have to give out hampers during the rainy season, December to January. 3,000 reserved for the coastal areas, and 950 reserved for the hinterland, mainly for Region 9.
Thank you, Prime Minister. Honorable Member Ms. Ferguson.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. Mr. Chair, to the Honorable Prime Minister. Regarding the coastal areas, can you disaggregate for us which communities along the coastal areas will be benefiting from these hampers to be distributed? Thank you.
Honorable Prime Minister.
Mr. Chairman, this is a projection. The rainy season is coming upon us. What we are doing is procuring and storing. So whenever communities are affected, and whenever any community, every community is affected in Guyana, will have our intervention and will receive hamper. That has been the history of the Civil Defense Commission since I assumed responsibility. No discrimination. So the hampers are there, ready. Whenever community needs it, they will get it. I can assure you that.
Thank you, Prime Minister. Honorable Member Ms. Ferguson.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. I thank the Honorable Prime Minister for his response. Well, I just want to say to the Honorable Prime Minister.
Don't say, ask him a question.
Well, I want to ask the Honorable Prime Minister. Once there's a situation in South Georgetown, I trust that I will be able to reach out to his office so that my constituents would be able to benefit from these hampers distribution.
Honorable Prime Minister, I think you've been given an open book now to talk about your policy for your country.
Well, Mr. Speaker, I think the honorable member should first be educated as to how the Civil Defense Commission operates. In times of disaster, once we have reported a community is affected and is in need, you have a team that is dispatched and they do a needs assessment, a damage and needs assessment. That will be the information that will be utilized to guide further intervention as it pertains to whether they need food hampers, whether they need cleaning hampers, whether they need zinc sheets for re-roofing, or whether they need shelters to be set up or whatever. So it's a body of knowledge, it's more a professional area, and we don't discriminate.
Thank you, Prime Minister. Honorable members, I now put a question that the sum stated for Chart of Account 6292, dietary current expenditure, stands part of the estimates. Those in favor say aye. Those against say no. Ayes have it. The sum stated now stands part of the estimates. And under this agency code, the final chart of account line item is 6294 other. And I propose the question that the sum stated under this line item, current expenditure, stands part of the estimates. The Honorable Member, Ms. Valda Lawrence.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Mr. Chair, the remarks column for this $30.5 billion states provision of additional resources for the cash grant distribution to every citizen above 18 years of age. Above 18 years of age. Mr. Chair, from what I heard from the President and the Vice President, is that this cash grant is for 18 years and above. So we need to make an amendment to this remarks here. Since this will form part of our records, we need to make that remarks. To the Honorable Prime Minister, Mr. Chair, could the Prime Minister state whether out of this $30 billion, any amounts will be going to administrative costs, or if this is just for the grant and you're picking up the administrative costs from another line item?
Honorable Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, Mr. Chairman, the disbursement of this money is administered by a ministry, and that ministry works with other ministries throughout the country. They already have their operational budget, so this figure covers the payment going to the person. 18 years and above, you're right. If I'm 18 years today, the 1st of January 2025, right, you qualify for the money. Okay? So, right, this money is going to the people. Right?
Thank you very much, Prime Minister. Honorable members, I now put a question that the sum stated for a chart of account 6294. Honorable Member, Mr. Holder.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, in the initial announcement, we heard that it was 60 billion, a total of 60 billion to be disbursed. We've since seen some changes, and now we see the amount coming to Parliament as 30.5 billion, which works out to about 305,000 persons 18 and above. So my question is, if this is the government saying that in their estimation there are 305,000 persons 18 years and above, or will we see another people come into Parliament for another 30 billion before the end of the year?
Honorable Prime Minister.
Mr. Chairman, I'm smiling because I never expect such a question from a fellow member of the House. Today is the 27th of November. The financial year finishes on the 31st of December. So it's just about a month. We asking for that money, and we're gonna pay out that money as fast as possible. Come January the 1st, We go into another budget cycle, and the remainder of money that is needed will be apportioned and allocated from that budget cycle. That is the easy answer. Everybody will get the money. But this is financial management. Financial management at the highest level.
Thank you, Prime Minister. Honorable Member, Mr. Holder.
Thank you. So, is the Prime Minister saying that not all Guyanese will be getting it in this period? And would you confirm the number of persons that you're catering for in your own estimate?
Honorable Prime Minister.
Yeah. Mr. Chairman, just to allay any fears from our honorable member, if we finish this 30 million, right, and we have to come back on the 30th of December for more money, we will come back to this house. The task is to pay the money to every Guyanese.
Thank you very much, Prime Minister. Honorable Member, Mr. Holder.
Thank you, Comrade Speaker. Could the Prime Minister say which areas outside of the public servants, which areas, could the Prime Minister state who the persons or what categories are you catering for under this first tranche? Which regions, which areas, which communities, if you can get into that.
Honorable Prime Minister.
Mr. Chairman, as I speak, we have officials deployed throughout the country conducting the registration exercise. Okay? Now, if you are given a problem, the first thing you do, you analyze how you have to solve the problem. And the low-hanging fruits, or things that you could reach easily, you dispose of that quickly. And then you deal with the big ones. Isn't that so? So obviously, registering and paying the public servants, who's already a captive population, that will be forced. And then we move on, okay? So everybody will be paid.
Thank you, Prime Minister.
Right? Everybody will be paid, but, you know, you do it in a way, in a structured way. So in the shortest possible time, we pay everybody. So to answer you, you don't have to get up. To answer you, right? Yes, the public servants getting paid, right? But everybody in every region, we will reach everybody and pay them. Even the most difficult region. In the shortest possible time. But that's the answer.
Thank you, Prime Minister.
This is ventilated, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, this issue is being dealt with, in all fairness to the Ministry of Finance, every day on social media, every day in the newspapers. Every day.
Thank you very much, Honorable Prime Minister. Let me just get the order that I have. We'll have the Honorable Member, Mr. Holder, conclude, the Honorable Member, Ms. Ferguson, the Honorable Member, Mr. Duncan.
Thank you, Comrade Speaker. What I was trying to get from the Prime Minister is if there is a structure in terms of the distribution. I'm trying to get him to tell us, or tell his house, what is the structure? He said everyone, but there is no outside of the public servants. We understand that all Guyanese we're targeting over 18 years and above, but I'm trying to understand this structure in terms of the distribution. Now, he said as well that there are persons, teams doing registration across the 10 administrative regions. But I'm not aware, for example, in Region 2, that a registration process has commenced outside of of the public servants. So there needs to be clarity there. Also, Comrades Chairman, there needs to be clarity. Sir, if you can protect me, I'm trying to ask some questions here for the benefit of the House and for the benefit of the Guyanese people.
I will protect you. Please allow the Honourable Member to ask his question.
there needs to be clarity as well in terms of the registration process. Would it be continuous registration or just for a specific period and then you come back for another period? The reason why I'm asking that, because persons have been reaching out to me, especially those that are working in the interior and outside of their region. So they want to know when they come home, they will not be coming home for any registration process, let's say in the next week or two. So when they come, if they can register and uplift their monies, and that's what I'm trying to get from the Prime Minister.
Pertinent. Honorable Prime Minister.
You don't even know about agriculture. Mr. Chairman, registration is taking place and will take place, will continue to take place throughout the length and breadth of Guyana, right? Just allow us to do our work. Everybody will get their money in the shortest possible time. It is obvious that we're dealing with the public servants, right? Because they're already, we know where they're located, it's easier to register them. And when we move from there, we'll go street by street, center by center, and register everybody.
Shirley.
Listen for the notice.
Thank you very much, Honorable Prime Minister. Honorable Member, Mr. Holder.
You register too?
One final question, and this is specific to Region 2, maybe in other regions as well. Have you authorized any such teams to be moving around, specifically Region 2, to do registration? I had numerous complaints or numerous reports of persons, teams going around and actually saying to persons, if you don't register, then you will not get, if you don't register under that process or at that time of them visiting your home, then you will not get the money. And so I had cause to advise residents of the region that as far as my information goes, that is not so. The region has said that there is no process as yet, and so that is where we are. So I need some clarity from the Honorable Minister on this matter.
Honorable Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, the registration has started. It is ongoing. However, in the interest of the Honorable Member, we will, in all the newspapers, have the necessary communication.
Even Kaichur?
Okay? Mr. Speaker?
Thank you very much, Prime Minister. Honorable Member, Ms. Ferguson. We have a lot of questions. Ms. Ferguson, Mr. Duncan, Mr. Mahipal, Ms. Desir. Ms. Ferguson.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair, for acknowledging me. Mr. Chair, my question, I have about 2 or 3 questions to the Honorable Prime Minister. My first observation has to do with the explanation given in the legend, where it is saying here, provisions of additional resources. So the question I would like to ask the Honorable Prime Minister, when the reference is made to additional resources, am I to understand that the government has started to pay out some monies and now you're coming for $30.5 billion? Because mind you, Mr. Chair, you would recall in the budget speech on the measures, the Honorable Minister of Finance mentioned that there's a $7 billion set aside for cost of living measures. So can the Honorable Prime Minister explain to the National Assembly whether they have started to pay monies from the $7 billion and they're now coming to the House seeking a $30.5 billion for this 100K.
Honorable Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, I'm surprised. I am surprised. This is a budget. You have voted provision. If you want $1 more, it has to be additional provision. If you want $30 more, same thing, additional provision. If you want $130 more, same thing, additional provision. If you want $30 billion more, it's the same thing, additional provision. Because you started with a voted provision. Anything above that, additional provision. Another teaching moment.
Thank you very, very much. PM?
Mr. Chair, thank you very much to the honorable member. But I can read, interpret, and understand. Last year, early this year, we approved $7 billion in change. And the explanation given to by the Honorable Prime Minister, it was for hampers to assist migrants across regions 1, 2, 3, and I'm trying to remember if region 4, it's in the Hansard. There was no mention of a cash grant when we approved the initial $7 billion. So what are you telling me, Prime Minister?
Honorable member, there's more statement. Honorable Prime Minister, the person can read, listen, comprehend. You may want to expand and interpret.
Mr. Speaker, I'm not surprised. I'm not surprised. What I'm doing here is trying to bring some clarity to the honorable member who's confused by numbers. She's mixing up 92 with 94. 62, 92, dietary. 62, 94, others.
Thank you very much, honorable member. Ms. Ferguson, if you have to make another statement, I'll interrupt you and cut you off, right? But if you have a question,
yes,
let's hear the question up front.
Yeah, Mr. Chair, thank you very much. We are discussing 6294, other. And if we go to the Hansard, if we go 6294, other. So when we go to the Hansard, it will show you exactly what was stated by the Honorable Prime Minister.
Honorable member, let me just interrupt you here, right? The Prime Minister gave a perfectly understandable answer with respect to what is additional with respect to the financial provisions here. So, if you don't have another question, I'll move on to the honorable member, Mr. Duncan.
No, Mr. Speaker, I do have another question. Mr. Speaker, until I locate the part of in the Hansard here.
Okay, you try and locate that. Let's get the question from Mr. Duncan.
Yes,
Mr. Duncan, please.
I'm getting to my question.
Mr. Duncan?
I don't want to interrupt you.
Please.
Okay.
Honorable member, Mr. Duncan.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, members of the parliamentary opposition, we're seeking clarity not in a vacuum. It was this honorable government that came to this house on the 10th day of October and told us that we are going to get 200,000 per household instantaneously. And we went on that. And then they came back and said it's in about 5 months. And then they said it was going to be through an app you're going to register. And now you have to register in person. And then we heard the finance minister said overnight, if you don't take your photograph, you can't get the money, right? And then we saw the Attorney General speak on biometrics, and then the Vice President said he don't speak for the government. So we're seeking clarity in the House, right? This has been, Mr. Speaker, you would recognize this issue of the cash grant. It has been an enigma wrapped in a mystery. And that is why we're seeking the clarifications we're seeking here this afternoon. Because one person says something else. The president says instantaneously. The vice president says, no, in 5 months. In this very house, the president said instantaneously.
Okay, honorable member, so for clarity, what do we want to ask the honorable Prime Minister?
Right? The question that I have, my first question, Mr. Speaker, is what percentage of the population is represented in this requested allocation, this 30 billion?
Honorable Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, we already said $60 billion will be required. And we are asking for 30. We are asking for 30. Is that 50% of the people who are eligible? 50% of the people who are eligible will be covered by the 30. All we're saying, Mr. Speaker, today is the 27th of November. And by our work program, we're going to push hard to pay everybody in the shortest possible time. By the 31st of December, it is envisioned that we will expend, if not all, most of this money. And in the next financial year, we'll ask for the next set of money.
Thank you very much, Prime Minister. Honorable Member, Mr. Mahipal.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman, the Honorable Prime Minister was kind enough to say $60 billion is required, and this requested sum here of $30.5 billion represents 50%. My question to the Honorable Prime Minister, is there an administrative cost that is associated with this project?
He answered that already. Honorable Member, Ms. Amanza Walton Desir. Honorable Member, Ms. Amanza Walton Desir.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Mr. Chair, I have a question for the Prime Minister as it relates to the registration process. Because we are aware that, for example, in the ministries and even the members of parliament have been asked to register. I'm curious as to the rationale for this registration. Because if I, for example, I'm working in the Ministry of Public Works, for example, Mr. Chair, may I be allowed to ask my question? Yes, Mr. Chair. I'm curious, and the reason I'm asking is because one would assume that if I am employed in the Ministry of Public Works, that the HR department would have my records, would have a record of all of the employees of the organization. I think it's safe for me to assume that they would have that record. So I'm trying to understand what is the need for you to go from ministry to ministry to have public servants whose names are already on a payroll and whose coordinates, including their ID cards, their passports, etc., are already on file, to re-register PM. What is the rationale for that?
Honorable Prime Minister.
You know, again, Mr. Speaker.
Please, let's give the Honorable Prime Minister
the
respect.
Again. Mr. Speaker, this information is public information. November the 27th, 2024, Guyana Chronicle, 100K cash grant distribution to be a two-step process. None other than the Honorable Senior Minister of Finance in the Office of the President with responsibility for finance and the public service at length explained this whole thing here, and there is no need for such a question. We are focused on accountability. We are focused on ensuring every Guyanese get that money, including you. Every Guyanese, including you. And whatever system we put in place to ensure that happens, you must respect that system.
Thank you, Honorable Prime Minister. Honorable Member, Ms. Amanza Walton Desir.
You know, Mr. Chair, I have to observe that the question has not been answered. So I will, because if I'm to follow up on what the Honorable PM is saying, he says we want to make sure that everybody gets, as should happen. Why can we not rely on the records that are already in the ministries? This is what I'm trying to say, because if the Honorable PM is coming to tell me that their employment records have to be verified So this is what we're trying to understand. It's not intended to be a trap. Maybe, Mr. Speaker, we could get an answer from the person under who it should come in the first place.
Thank you, Honourable Member.
Mr. Chairman, may I?
I have the Honourable Prime Minister and the Honourable
PM,
Minister
may I, sir?
of Finance. The
Mr.
Honourable
Speaker,
Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker,
go ahead.
I will defer to the Honourable Minister because in the interest of the people of Guyana, understanding, I already referred to the Minister, Honourable Senior Minister, so I will ask him to take the floor now and further explain once and for all.
Thank you, Honourable Prime Minister, Honourable Senior Minister in the office of the President.
Mr. Chairman, if I might, Mr. Chairman, if I might.
We all want to hear about the process and processes and the different tranches. Please, Honourable.
Mr. Chairman, if I might add some further clarity to the abundant clarity that has already been shed on this matter by the distinguished Prime Minister. The reason why I note, and I'm not speaking specifically to the question asked by the Honourable Member Amanza Walton Desir, asking why a registration stage is required for public servants when we already have them on the payroll. Indeed, we do already have them on the payroll. The reason why registration is required for everybody is because in addition to processing public servants' payments simply by virtue of the fact that they are in public employment, we are also registering in the communities. And the people who work in public offices also live in these communities. And so in order to ensure that we minimize and avoid and eliminate as far as we possibly can duplication, it is imperative that everybody be registered. I understand why the honourable members on that side of the House would have a difficulty understanding. I will repeat, sir. In order to ensure that we avoid duplication, because we are also registering in the very communities in which these people live. Apart from doing a registration at my place of work, you're also registering in my community where I live, and the same applies to everybody. And so in order to ensure that we avoid duplication, everybody has to be registered. Now I can understand why members on that side of the House are having a difficulty comprehending this, because they are not known for having implemented anything at all during their 5 years in office. So a simple task such as this is bound to elude their limited powers of comprehension. This is an extremely simple matter, and it's a very simple, basic registration process. It is a very simple, basic registration process.
Thank you, Honourable Minister, Honourable Member, Mr. Vince Wright Jordan.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Mr. Chair, I listened to the Honourable Minister of Finance, and the Honourable Minister spoke about the reason for taking a photograph. I also understand, Mr. Chair, and know for a fact that our Guyanese identification card carries a photograph. I'm asking now, sir, why is it necessary that if we already have a photograph on our identification card, that we need to take another photograph when we are being registered?
Honourable Prime Minister.
Mr.
We
Chairman,
have the Honourable Prime Minister to answer the question.
Mr. Chairman, we already answered the question. Our primary focus is accountability. And if we put that measure in place to satisfy accountability, so be it. So be it. It's a measure to satisfy accountability.
Thank you, Prime Minister. Honourable Member, Mr. Jordan.
Mr. Chair, the Prime Minister is saying that it is a measure of accountability. But is the Prime Minister also saying that our national identification card does not look like us? Because it is the same photograph. What is it with our identification card that the same photograph cannot work for the verification and identification to fulfill his accountability
We are
needs?
now repeating ourselves, and I'll give the Honorable Prime Minister another chance to repeat his answer. If he doesn't, I'll now put a question. Honorable members, I now put a question that the sum stated. Honorable members, I now put a question that the sum stated for chart of account 6294. Current expenditure stands part of the estimates. Those in favor say aye. Those against say no. The ayes have it. The sum stated now stands part of the estimates. Let us move to item Agency Code 02-023, Office of the Prime Minister, Power Generation. And we take chart of account 6321, Subsidies and Contributions to Local Organizations. And I propose the question that the sum stated under this question, current expenditure stands part of the estimates. And I now put a question that the sum state, Honorable Member Mr. Patterson.
Thank you very much for recognizing me, Mr. Chair. Start off nice. Can the Prime Minister disaggregate the sum being sought, the $51 million for Maria Power Station?
Honorable Prime Minister.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. We have a short, with regards to the disaggregation of the 51,129,585, we have a shortfall of 22,862,487. And then we have outstanding liabilities of 28,267,098, and that will give you the sum of the 51,129,582. With regards to the outstanding liability, Guy Oil, fuel, $8 million, transportation of fuel, 500,000. Supply of filters for generators, 319,998. Maintenance work for generators, 1,900,000. Additional reimbursement for fuel expenses, 12 million. Fence repairs, 4,152,100. Upgrade of billing system, 1,395,000. That was the disaggregation. Thank you,
Prime Minister. Honorable Member Mr. Patterson.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. You did not disaggregate shortfall, but before you do that, sir, you have a $12 million for additional expenses in fuel, in addition to $8 million for Guy Oil as part of your outstanding liabilities. Can I ask who this $12 million is payable to, sir?
Prime Minister.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. The $12 million is related to the reimbursement for fuel expenses with GOIL for September 2024.
Honorable Member, Mr. Patterson.
Sir, why is it that it really means, so the $8 million you are paying, you say they're all liabilities, which means that they've all been expended. You have a $12 million reimbursing, then you have an $8 million fuel expense. Can you clarify that? Mr. Chairman, I'm advised that the $12 million is the advancement of payment for fuel to GOIL for September 2024. And the $8 million would have covered the fuel for August 2024.
Honorable Member, Mr. Patterson.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. So, can the Prime Minister confirm the shortfall of $8 million is fuel for the balance of the year?
Honorable Prime Minister.
And $2.8 million, disaggregate that. The $22.8 million, which is a shortfall, and what we're requesting now will take us cover all our expenses, including fuel for the rest of the year.
Thank you, PM.
Great.
Mr. Patterson.
Great. Thank you very much, Mr. Prime Minister. Sir, after expending this amount of money, can the Prime Minister explain to us why there are still power outages in Madia?
Honorable Prime Minister.
Mr. Chairman, we had several reasons for power outages in Madia. There was even one time where we had to intervene and purchase a brand new generator because the generator started to malfunction. It's been there for a long time. What we're doing now, we're repairing and maintaining those generators. So if, for example, a generator is undergoing maintenance, there will be some reduction in the power available to the community. As it is right now, the generators are working.
Thank you, PM.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. Mr. Chair, I'm aware that there is a solar farm in Madia. Can the Honorable PM say what amount of power that is contributing? And is it working is it working completely?
Honorable Prime Minister.
Mr. Chairman, we have a 0.65 megawatt capacity that is installed in terms of the solar farm. It is working. We've already worked through all the problems of integration, and that obviously will be commissioned in a week's time, shortly. But the community is receiving fuel from it. Sorry, the community is receiving energy from it. Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. Can the Honorable Prime Minister say, because of course, every day the Ministry of Finance and everyone in the government always wax lyrically about the subsidies and the zero taxes on fuel and those things like that. Can the Honorable Prime Minister say why? Because, well, the chairman doesn't allow you to go back. But this particular question is that when you pass the budget, why, sir, are we spending $48 million out of this year, sir, for fuel, since obviously there are no taxes and subsidized by your government?
Honorable Prime Minister.
The simple answer, Mr. Chairman, is that there's an increase in demand. We're connecting more homes. There's an increase in demand. And the fuel prices, yes, everybody's aware that fuel prices would have went up. And therefore, notwithstanding the fact that government would have removed the taxation on imported fuel, the real price that we're paying for fuel has increased.
Thank you, PM. Mr. Patterson.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. Sir, I know we're coming on to that. Sir, I know that when the much talked about gas to shore project, which we'll come to shortly, is completed, the government has said that the consumers in the Demerara Berbice interconnected grid can expect their fuel prices to their electricity costs to be halved. Can I ask the Honorable Prime Minister, what can the residents of Madia expect, and when can they expect the prices and the cost that they pay for electricity to be halved, like what you're bringing to Georgetown and the rest of the Demerara Berbice grid?
Honorable Prime Minister.
Certainly, Mr. Chairman, and the honorable member is right. There's a promise made to the people of Guyana, and we have a history of delivering on our promises. And you know, for every utility in the hinterland, the plan is to have renewable energy source, right, to complement that utility. As we complete that project, in this case, Madia, we will go through an evaluation process, and the necessary reduction in costs will be determined and made available to the people of that community.
Thank you, PM. Mr.
So
Patterson.
the PM is saying that that when the renewable, you're going to be powered by renewables, sir. So when the solar farm is commissioned next week, because that's the only renewable you have in Madia, you will commence a process to provide the people in Madia with half price like the rest in the DBASD. That's what you just said.
Mr. Chairman, I said a re-evaluation. It's obvious that the price will go down, but I never said 50%. Right? So let us take one step at a time. Commission the renewable energy source, right? Commission means integrate it with what is existing there, and do the re-evaluation, right? In terms of costs, you know, how much we saving, and whatever are the savings will be to the benefits of the people.
Thank you, PM.
Final
Mr.
question
Patterson.
on this, sir. So can the PM say, does he anticipate when this re-evaluation period, since you're commissioning next week, sir, will the re-evaluation period be completed in time for Christmas so that the people in Madia can have a brighter Christmas?
Honorable Prime Minister.
The people in Madia, since August the 2nd, 2020, had started enjoying brighter Christmases. So 2021, 2022, 2023, 2024, 4 brighter Christmases for the people in Madia. And it will keep getting brighter and brighter, not only in Madia, but throughout Guyana.
Can I do thank the PM for his question, for his answer. Can the PM confirm that the people of Madia are getting 24 hours electricity? A service provided by the administration, the previous administration, because in 2015 they were only getting 8. So can you confirm that you have continued what we have implemented? Thank you.
Honorable Prime Minister.
They are getting 24-hour electricity, and it is getting better because they will continue to get 24-hour electricity, but at the end of the evaluation, they'll pay less for the 24 hours.
Thank you, Prime Minister. Honorable members, I now put a question that the sum stated for chart of account 6321, subsidies and contributions to local organizations, current expenditure stands part of the estimates. Those in favor say aye. Those against say no. Ayes have it. The sum stated now stands part of the estimates. Chart of account 2610100. I propose the question that the sum stated herein on the specific stands part of the estimates. Honorable members, I now put a question that Honorable Member Mr. Patterson.
Thank you, sir. It seems as though you have to be a jack in the box to get your attention.
Not at all.
Well,
if you're ready to ask a question, be ready. I respond to the lights I see and people rising. The standing order says who first catches the eye. You were slow. I understand age is catching up with us.
Yes, sir. You know what I mean. I won't comment on that at all. Sir, small hydro projects, sir, the legend under this line item has 4 projects, four components. So can the Honorable Prime Minister disaggregate to which this 422.887 billion will be paid out?
Honorable Prime Minister, capital specific.
The $422,887,330 been asked for to deal with the engineering, procurement, and construction of Kumu hydropower plant and rehabilitation of the Mokoboko hydropower plant.
Mr. Chair, I know that from the legend, as you were well aware, sir, or does the Prime Minister want me to read the legend? I'm asking him to disaggregate the sum, not the project. So the legend, the legend, sir, says construct of hydropower facilities at Mokomoko and Kumu. So that's why so.
Mr. Chairman, I'm sorry if I didn't answer the honorable member question clearly. It's all for the payment of the EPC because the completion is already a completion of the hydro. So what we're doing is paying for it. Paying for the engineering, procurement, and construction, solely for that.
Okay, you want the cost of it.
Honorable Member Mr. Patterson.
Sir, the Prime Minister acknowledges, sir, he needed time to answer the question.
Honorable Prime Minister.
Mr. Chair, I will offer the honorable member the breakdown as to how much went to Mokomoko, how much went to Kumu, but most of the money would have went to Mokomoko because Mokomoko is completed earlier than expected, so we decided to pay after.
Thank you, Mr. Honorable Prime Minister. Can I be so bold to ask when you? I mean, I'm asking this, sir, because we go on to the next item. You said, and I accept that you will be laying it over. Can you put a time period to that, sir? The information you're laying over. When?
Mr. Chairman, close of business tomorrow, the 27th of November. The honorable member will have his information.
Thank you very much, Honorable Prime Minister. Honorable members, I now put the question that the sum stated for chart of account 261-0100, capital expenditure specific to this project. I put a question that the sum stated herein now stands part of the estimates. Those in favor say aye. Those against say no. Ayes have it. The sum stated now stands part of the estimates. Honorable members, just to remind those who did not get registered for this 100,000, the MPs and the staff. We have the Ministry of Finance staff waiting. I now propose the question that the sum stated for chart of account 2610600 gas to power project. And I propose the question that the sum stated herein now stands part of the estimates on the capital local. Honourable Member, Mr. Patterson.
Thank you, sir. Sir, let's start off with me, sir. The $25.3 billion being sought. Sir, I know it's to facilitate payments, accelerated implementation. Can the Honorable Prime Minister disaggregate this amount, please?
Honorable Prime Minister.
Mr. Chair, to answer the honorable member, the disaggregation is as follows. Natural gas power plant and natural gas liquid plant, 23 billion 806 million 18,413. Project management consultant or consultancy, 149 million 422,822. Transformers, 26 million 767,430. Transmission lines and substations, 889 million 978,538. Supervision of the transformers, transmission lines, and substation control centers, 103 million 155,203. Supply, installation, integration, and commissioning of a SCADA, GMS, EMS, OTS, and remote terminal units, $156 million and $1. SCADA, PMC, OE, DBAR, there's no sum there, sorry. Consultancy services, just skip that one. Consultancy services for construction of a building for the Guyana National Control Center, 4,144,347. Before that answer. SCADA training, 18,397,527. Land acquisition, 4 million. Construction access road, 26,439,695. Upgrade of access road, 44,776,187. Repairs to access road, 47,400,000. Moving of pipelines, 15 million. And that gave us a total of 25,301,500,162.37.
Thank you, Prime Minister. Honorable Member, Mr. Patterson.
Thank you very much, Honorable Prime Minister. Mr. Chair, the first one, the EPC contractor, sir, of 23.86 billion, sir. Sir, can you give us the name of that contractor, sir?
Honorable Prime Minister.
Mr. Chairman, the name of the contractor is Linsaker CH4. Linsaker spelled Lindsayca. Linsaker. Capital C, capital H, 4. Linsaker CH4.
Thank you, Honorable Prime Minister. Honorable Member, Mr. Patterson.
Mr. Chair, in January of 2024, the reason I asked the question is the Honorable Prime Minister came for $55.4 billion for this particular contractor, sir, which at the time represented 35% of his contract sum. Is the Honorable Prime Minister, can the Honorable Prime Minister confirm that the contractor has completed 35% of his work, and you are now on this additional 23? So we'll carry us almost 50% of the monies owed to the contractor. So we're concerned that the project, Linsaker, is 50% completed.
Honorable Prime Minister.
The natural gas power plant and natural gas liquid plant commencement, the contract, December 2022. Conclusion, and now we have the contractors, Linsaker, the contract sum, 159 billion, 159.9 billion, expenditures prior to 2024, 55.7 billion, right? You said that. Expenditure as at today's date, 44,678,826.37 dollars. The balance on the contract to date, 59,514,413, $36.48. And you have the projected expenditure. You have the shortfall, which is 23,816,018,413. Sir, 58% of the work has been completed.
88% of the
58.
Honorable Member, Mr. Patterson.
Very much, Mr. Chair. Can I ask the Prime Minister if any of this money to that company, that's why I asked his name, is for payment of arbitration?
Honorable Prime Minister.
Consultants for dispute and is it? So you have for dispute ongoing. Here. Mr. Chairman, this money does not include the sum for the
dispute arbitration, dispute avoidance and adjudication board. That sum is to date 13.6 million.
Sir, can the Honorable Prime Minister say what the $13.6 million is for, or what's paid for, sir?
Honorable Prime Minister.
The sum of 13.6 million to date has been paid for the consultants and the lawyers with regards to this activity.
Honorable Member, Mr. Patterson.
Mr. Chair, with your leave, sir, in January of 2024, sir, the Honorable Prime Minister made a commitment to this House to lay over all the documents. Sir, the Clerk of the Assembly, sir, and if I could just, with your leave, just read. On April the 2nd, 2024, sir, he wrote the Honorable Brigadier Retired Mark Phillips, NP. And to remind you, during the consideration of 2024 estimates of revenue and expenditure, 77 sitting on National Assembly on 30th of January 24, you promised to, as requested by Mr. David Patterson, MP, to provide information with respect to the following breakdown of the 73 billion for 2023, sir. Because if you could remember, sir, there's a shortfall in the numbers you give of 5.49 billion. Copies of the agreement between SO Exploration Production and EEPL, a copy of the engineering, the insurance policy for the engineering procurement and EPC contract, sir. Sir, that was April the 2nd, sir. Can the Honorable Prime Minister say, not to me, to the country, why he has not kept his promise? Do you want me to read the do you want me to read the letter? And it was signed by the clerk of the Parliament, Honorable Sherlock Isaacs, E. Isaacs, sir.
Prime Minister, I allow you to respond.
Mr. Chair, if I had failed in offering my response as requested by the honorable member, let me apologize to this honorable House, and I will seek to, in the shortest possible time, honor that request.
Thank you very much, Honorable Prime Minister. That might be a good note to put the question, Honorable Member.
Well, I would just like to remind you, sir, and this is...
Yeah, ask a question, don't remind me.
No, sir, this is the third time he has made this offer, sir.
Okay, please, if there's a question, the Honorable Prime Minister is most gracious to acknowledge his slippages. Thank you very much, Honorable Members. I now put a question that the sum stated for chart of account 2610600 capital expenditure stands part of the estimates. Those in favor say aye. Those against say no. Ayes have it. The sum stated now stands part of the estimates. Honorable members, I remind those who need to register and have their pictures taken We still have the Ministry of Finance. Honorable Minister of Finance, you'd like to say something?
No, I was just going to thank you very much, Mr. Speaker, for that, Mr. Chairman, for that most timely reminder. Thank you very much.
And let me thank you and your staff for being so patient with us, because they've been here since around 12:30. Thank you. And just the chauffeurs of the ministers, everybody who's associated with, can register. Thank you. Let us take the suspension for an hour. Return at 6:10. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Prime Minister and staff.
We are a peaceful people. Struggle is with struggle, and we don't look for trouble. Just ask around. But when outside faces from foreign places talk about taking over, we ain't backing down. We ain't giving up no mountains, we ain't giving up no tree, we ain't giving up no river that belongs to we. Not one blue sake, not one rice grain, not one courage.